Alrighty. Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right. Let's unview those guys. All right, chat. I'm Dan G. We're here. We're live on the RS4K, Real Science for Kids, Science Literacy Bundles. We have our Science Literacy Bundles. And I am going to get this set up. We're going to go live on TikTok real fast so I can get my credit over there for what they're trying to do. Let's get some music going too. We got a lot of things going on right now. We got a lot of things going on. It is now noon Mountain Time. Real Science for Kids. It's Adam's first learning. It's Adam's first. It's an Adam's first science progression is what this is. And it is really it's really a great way to learn all about the authentic science. So let's get the music going. Let's ask chat. So what would be a good name, a good stream for YouTube to listen to music? Okay, let's take a look here. Boom. We'll get this all set up. And hey, welcome in. We're RS4K, Real Science for Kids. This is a look at our Bundle 1. This is our digital student textbook option that we have available now for schools. So if you're in a school, you don't just have to, like, if you're in, say 4th grade, they're going to have a 4th grade book, right? And let's scroll up. So this is my book 4. But if it's your first year doing science, you know where you're going to start? You're going to want to start in Science Book 1. And then you can open it up. It opens up into full screen. And you can see just right there. And we will go through and talk more individually about the various books. But Book 1 is going to start with atoms and molecules. So when you're wanting to learn science, specifically in the 21st century in 2025, you're going to want to start with atoms and molecules. And Adam's first science pedagogy is the right path for learners who want to learn science. And if you're a teacher or a parent, you're definitely going to want to have your kids have access to the Real Science for Kids RS4K digital books. So call your school, call your curriculum coordinator, call your district office and say, why are my kids forced to learn about particles too small to be seen when it's clear that we can teach them about atoms? We can start with atomic and molecular theory, and that is okay. It's actually beneficial. It lets them. Is the moon made of green cheese? I don't think so. Nope, look at this. We have Dr. Woodbury herself calling. Hang on a second. Let me mute. All right. Are clouds made of cotton candy? In the afternoons, you might think, yeah, they are, because how the sun hits and the sky lights up with all the reds and oranges and purples right at the end of our day. That would be yummy, the mouse says. Are frogs made of green slime? Yeah, I think so. So we will come back to the reader. We will come back to the reader and we will look at atoms further. Let me go ahead and get some music, a music stream going live. My boss is going to be on online. She's going to check out the stream, the live. So if we can get some more folks in on the live, that would be great. I appreciate you for signing in. I got to get TikTok set up over here on the desktop app. We're making big progress today. We really are. And I want to listen to some high tempo instrumental piano and instrumental piano. High tempo instrumental piano. 2 hours of happy piano music. That seems about something I would like. Let's make sure that the Bluetooth is all set up. We got it all set up. Okay. We got to turn on our speaker. All the things. All the things. Well, that's nice. I just have this little soundbar speaker. It fits really nice right under my monitor. And it was like $20 on Amazon, so it wasn't bad. And we're going to have the music outside of the virtual sound card so it can get picked up on the TikTok. So let me go over to my TikTok. I got the extra camera and we're good to go, chat. But this in front of you right here, what we have is the early science literacy readers. These science literacy readers, you can see, start at a Lexile score of 230. So people say, Dan, where do we start? Like, how do I start with Real Science for Kids? And there we go. There we go. YouTube is online. Welcome in. The 200 Lexile is really for kindergarten and first grade. So these first two bundles that you see right here that we can highlight. Let me see if it'll highlight. There it goes. Perfect. A little bit of a delay, which is nice. You can see here these 14 readers. It's really all your kids are going to need to learn. In between, grades kindergarten and grades 1. It really does provide an authentic. It provides authentic science vocabulary. I mean, anything but is just an acknowledgement that you just don't know. It's just an acknowledgement that there's no understanding beyond just, a pre-oxygen, pre-atomic, theory of science. And so, we're just here, and it really is an opportunity to learn, to teach real science to these kids. And so that's what Real Science for Kids is all about. That's what we are doing. That's the value that we bring to you. And let me get my microphone set up for TikTok. Here we go. Okay, perfect. So I can't share my screen with TikTok quite yet, but let me jump over there real fast, get this set up. And we are good. Listen to some music. Thanks for hanging out, chat. We can re-educate these kids, and we can teach them real science. We can do that. That is what we are doing. All right, let me go over here and work on this. All right. Perfect. Should turn on. There it goes. It's turned on. Perfect. Alrighty. We got that going. Hey chat. Hey chat. Hey, how's it going? How's it going? All right. Let me add. There we go. Boom. Okay. What about this side? All right, chat. Nope, that's the full microphone. I'm just trying to. There we go. I'm just orientating my. That's my camera. I don't want an image. Oh man, it's hard to. Video. What about audio? I mean, why can't. I can't use this. Hey, chat. I gotta put the other mouse in. I gotta get a double mouse system set up because the trackpads just don't work, especially on Windows. It's just like it goes backwards. It's all set up. It's like I don't even know what's going on. I just need audio. So let me take a look here. Countdown. There we go. Can you hear me now? Okay, perfect. Microphone. We don't have any of that stuff. Okay, good. Give a little applause there. Woo-hoo. Yeah, let's go. All right, all right. We are almost there. Let me go live over here on this other screen. Let me just take a picture on this other one. Hang on. And then I got to send it to myself. I need a double mouse. I need a double mouse. So I will get that set up. Hey, chat. Hey, look at everyone who's in here. Thank you for being here. We are Real Science for Kids. We are bringing an Adams First science learning pedagogy to you, to the people, to the world, to your school, to your public school, to your private school, whichever school you might go to. It could be a homeschool. Homeschool has been our primary. It's been our primary customer set for the last 20 plus years. 20 plus years we have been providing. I need to email it to myself. Okay, hang on. And then I'm working between a Windows and a Mac, so like I can't AirDrop to Windows. I can't AirDrop to Windows from my Mac. So it's a little bit, it's just a learning curve. It's just a problem we can manage, right? So I got that it's sent over there. So let me do this really fast, chat, and then we'll get into it. Yeah, super exciting times. We are here. We are living it. Let me get this image perfect. Let me download it, and then I can set it. Perfect. Hey, thanks for being on there. I appreciate you being here. If you want to, in your chat, just throw where you are, where you're logged in from. That would be cool. All right, let me. But what we're doing right now, what the purpose of today is to test all of the systems, is to get them all to work. That is my goal. Viewers and likes and everything else is a secondary goal. Getting the system just to set up and work and make sure, like this image, I want to set the background image. Okay, so I'd love to change that. Can we change it? Perfect. Ah, dang it. Dang it. All right, all right. You can see there we have all the leveled readers. And just there we go. Perfect. Okay. Well, I got a message from my mom. Okay. Please. All right, folks. We are here. Trying to get this other thing set up. Hey, chat. Thank you for being on. Yeah, we're just going to see if this is going to work or not. I don't know if it's going to work or not. We'll find out. There we go. Damn it. Why does it say view publication? I frickin' am trying to just do a screen share. So a grab so I can do this, dude. Fudge. Come on. All right, all right. We are here. We are. All right, we are live. We are live on all three services. We are live on all three services. I'm super excited. We've got this all set up. Chat, you can hear me there. Um, all right, yeah. So perfect. Okay, so real science for kids. Adams first. Um, all right. So, okay, perfect. We got this all set up. Let me grab my mouse. So TikTok, we need to go 3 times 25 minutes. We need to go 25 minutes over 3 times. So we can get those rewards. So there we go. So what we have is our early science literacy readers. Okay? Okay, chat? Now, our early science literacy readers, let me come over here to my multi-stream. We got YouTube. Let me see where Kick is at. How do I get over there? This is all brand new, chat. This is all brand new. We are here. We are working on it. We are figuring out how to get this information over to you. So, so yeah, let me take a look over here. Something's going on. I need a double mouse. I can't keep, manually moving the mouse. I don't know what is going on here. Welcome in, welcome in. We are here. We are Adams First. Real Science for Kids. We teach an Adams First learning pedagogy. Yep. Adams First. Okay, let me see here. We got that pretty good. Oh, I see what that is. Okay, perfect. So what do you guys want to do? What do you think? All right. So we got to go live. We need to go live for for a little bit longer. All right, let me try to figure out this YouTube. Let me go over to YouTube and Kick. I need my mouse. I need a double mouse. This is just this is absurd. I got to keep flipping back and forth. I have a Mac and a PC, guys, and I need a second mouse. I need two mouses so I can navigate both platforms. So we can share with everyone. Okay, let me jump over to Kick, see if I can figure out where that is. I've been online now for I don't know why it would have logged me out of this. That's weird. So yeah, let's take a look. Kick. Watch Kick live stream. Hey, there we go. All right. So yeah, it's kind of hard, this microphone setup with my hands. Like, I don't know if it needs to be taller or what, but hey, welcome in, chat. Welcome in. I see you over there. We are live. Real Science for Kids, Atoms first. Atoms first. This is what we do. This is how we teach science. You can see there, these are some of our early science literacy readers. And yeah. And so yeah, so I appreciate that. We're super excited. So you can see here we have all of our books. All of these books are Atoms First, Real Science for Kids. So all of these books behind me, this is a sufficient curriculum. This is a sufficient number of books with the words that have been included. Welcome in, welcome in. The same words that have been included, and then the manner that and the order that they are going to teach your learner, your kid, your student real science. It's definitely a sufficient program to do that. All right, now my name is Dan G. I am the Educational Outreach Director for Real Science for Kids. My job is to bring awareness, bring these books forward to you. And so we're here. We're in the RS4K live studio, and we are bringing you Atoms and Molecules. So we look here and we see our science literacy readers. And on TikTok, I need to just go live for 3 times on the live app, and then I'm going to be able to have a virtual background where I can then share all the things. So right now, we aren't able to share a live background on TikTok, but you can see these are some of our early science literacy readers, chat, and we are able to bring real science, authentic vocabulary down to the younger grades, right? Learning about atoms shouldn't be subjugated to just high school or the older kids or even college. If you want to learn real science, we say start with atoms and molecules. The Map We Never Got, as a new book, is just got published. Dr. Woodbury spent all summer in her hometown and writing a brand new book. And we are super excited that the first prints are coming out, and then we get to edit it one more time, and then we get to bring it forward to the people. Now, if you want to know about a way that we've figured out how to, well, I mean, just the ability to articulate not just that there's the problem with science education in this country, the people need to, like the teachers and the school administrators, they also need to say, hey, I think that what we're doing, like, it needs to be a problem we're solving, right? Like, science education needs to be a problem we're solving. And if we're willing to solve that problem, then the thing that we need to look at is an Adams first learning pedagogy. Perfect. And then, so my name is Dan G. I'm the Educational Outreach Director for Real Science for Kids. My job is to bring these books to you, to the people, to the homeschool parents, to the teachers, to the curriculum instructors, to all the folks who are in the system when it comes to science education. You say, well, Dan, the departments of science education, the departments of education in your independent states have, they have already, years ago decided what and how those books are going to be structured for each individual state. Welcome in, welcome in. The thing that they didn't do is use evidence. Now they call for their new textbooks that it needs to be evidence-based, right? And so they throw around these words just easily, like, oh, if it's Ed reports green, which means standards aligned, that is their co-opted definition of evidence. That is the definition of evidence that the schools have put forth for their staff and admin when they're selecting the books. And I can tell you with certainty that the information that went into leading to the development of the standards was not evidence-based. Just wasn't evidence-based. It doesn't start, it starts from a macroscopic stepping stone property of matter, and it just culminates in the basic tenets of atomic and molecular theory. So it seeds these, it just sets in place all of the misconceptions that these students have when they go into middle school and high school, right? So these principals will say, hey, the kids coming out of elementary school don't know anything about atoms and molecules. Well, yeah, they don't, because you never taught them anything. They've never learned. You've never taught them any of this information, yet you expect them to be these experts, these, go from 1800s pre-oxygen paradigm, right? Like, let's talk about the world before we even knew what oxygen was, right? They used a lot of measurement. They were trying to weigh things. They were trying to analyze things. They were coming up with all of their strategies to bring forward. And but they didn't even know that oxygen was a molecule, that they didn't know that oxygen was an atom. Like, they didn't know that atoms were individual entities that were conserved during chemical reactions. They were in the process of finding all this stuff out, right? But it's that pre-atomic, that pre-oxygen, those processes that are so embedded into the scientific inquiry process that most of the kids end up just learning pre-atomic, pre-oxygen types of, this is what their elementary science is all about, right? You don't know that atoms exist. You can't fathom that atoms exist. All you can say is, let's just measure something, and then a particle too small to be seen. Hey, what's up, boss? We got the scientist herself. She just joined us here on this live stream. Welcome in, everybody. My name's Dan G. I'm the Educational Outreach Director. I'm here with Real Science for Kids. And in the background, you can see this is our early literacy reader bundles. So if book one is too complicated, if book one has too many words, if your student looks at that and says, wow, this is too challenging, This is way too hard. That's why we have the literacy readers. What you do is you simply, I can't share it on this screen because I need to go live on TikTok for 3 more times for 25 minutes so I can virtually share you a live backdrop. Oh, that was very nice for the gift. That was my first gift. Thank you, Dr. Woodbury. Dr. Woodbury is she's quite incredible individual, I might add. She's dedicated a huge portion of her world to solving this problem, this science education problem. And I think everyone here, chat, is going to be super excited when we get the map we never got. Because the map we never got does articulate not just the crux of the problem and not just some solutions, but it is just an amazing compilation of knowledge that has been brought together and then put forth in this book about the map that we never got. I never learned science when I was in school. I was part of this, system that churned out non-scientific type of, students, right? Science today doesn't produce very many kids that can go into high school chemistry and then even less that want to go into high school or college chemistry. And so the map we never got tells us the map we never got articulates the crux of these problems and the misconceptions and ideas on how we can teach science with less misconception. Now imagine you could teach science to your kids, to your students, and they walked away and didn't have misconceptions. Like they walked away and their misconception level or load of misconceptions was, let's just call it like half, right? What would that do? How much confidence would these kids have? How much confidence would they have going into high school science, right? And so that is what we do here at Real Science for Kids. We set your kids up for success. We want them to have wins. We want those confidence gains because that is one, it can be not as easy to measure, just like, here, take all these tests and then we can just measure them all. But imagine you empowering your kid, imagining you empowering your grandkid, imagining you're a teacher or you're the curriculum instructor and picking up Real Science for Kids as your science program. So what if you're a digital first? Well, digital first, we have a whole platform. You can see there on the back of the screen, this is a picture of our student view. This is what the students get to see. This is their textbooks. So if I move my image, and I will, let's move my image, you can see more books. So you can see that we have sponges and exercise science and sea jellies. Sea jellies is totally fun. What is physics, right? Hey, folks, force isn't push-pull. Force is not an entity. Force is an action. And so it's the process of something moving is one way to say force. Welcome in, chat. Got a lot of folks who have been through today. I'm super excited. We got a few that are live. That's great. And then linear motion, right? So we introduce all of these topics for these kids in a way, in a manner that is appropriate for not just an Adams first learning pedagogy, but is appropriate for their age. So if we talk about atoms have what's called linking electrons. And so linking electrons, so let me go out of this on Kick and YouTube, because I'm running 3 lives right at the moment, chat. I love it. This is great. RS4K, Real Science for Kids. Dan G. I'm the Educational Outreach Director, and I work directly with Dr. Woodbury And our job is to bring forward a real science, an Adams first science learning pedagogy that starts with our early literacy reader bundles and then moves into our science book 1. So let's talk about atoms for a second. Okay, chat? So atoms, and you can see here on the thing, we are atoms, and they have we can yeah, let me do that. I'll copy this page really quick. I will send it over so we can all have this conversation together. How's that, chat? So here's one of the images that we do. So let me send this over. Okay, we can drop that. Boom. All right. We having fun. I'm having a great time. What is it? Wednesday today? It's Wednesday. The sun angle is not as much as it was during summer. So it's definitely not getting as hot these days. And fall, I feel like, is going to be right around the corner. All right, so let's take a look here, chat. I got to send this over. Windows doesn't have, I don't know how to send an airdrop to the Windows computer, but let's work on this. Hang on, chat. All righty, there we go. Let me switch out this image, and then we'll be on the same page. All right, so atoms first. Atoms first, atoms first, atoms first. You're going to hear me say this probably 100 times or more. And that's okay, right? Because we want it to set in. We want it to set in that there are alternatives. There are alternatives for your science classroom. You don't have to learn particle too small to be seen. Your kid doesn't have to be, they're not forced to, that's the only thing that they can learn is macroscopic properties of matter, or we're too small to be seen. All right, chat, check this out. So this right here is how we introduce atoms to little kids, right? To the littles, right? They're just trying to figure out how to tie their shoes. They're not going to be a scientist in first grade. But what we can do, chat, what we can do is we can teach them that atoms are entities and that atoms have linking electrons, right? So we see here, chat, look at that purple model of an atom. It's got 4 arms. Well, those are linking electrons, right? So if you're in high school or college, the professor is going to say those are called valence electrons. But these books are for like littles, and they barely tie in their shoes. So we don't call them valence electrons. We call them linking electrons because carbon has 4 linking electrons, which means it can form 4 bonds, right? You see, oxygen is represented as the red atom guy, has 2 linking electrons, which means it has 2. It can make 2 bonds, right? So if we look, I have a representation of a molecule right here, right, chat? So here's my oxygen, okay? Boom. 1, 2. There's no other place. If I have a third hydrogen, there's nowhere it's going to connect to because it doesn't, an oxygen only has 2 linking electrons. So you can see this water molecule, one is anatomically correct, right? Because these hydrogens do come down at an angle off of the oxygen atom. And it's this very atomic structure that gives ice its floating ability, the way its ability to float in the same medium that it resides in, right? Okay, great, Dan. Well, my kid just learned about solid, liquid, or gas. Okay, so what else did they learn? Well, that's all that they are required to learn in like second and third grade in public school. Oh, dang. So you mean they call this a particle too small to be seen? They call this they don't call it a molecule. They just give it a generic name. And then your learner, your kids, your students have to unlearn that so they can learn about atoms. Right? Okay, let's look at the carbon atom. Carbon atom in this molecular set carbon is represented as a 1, 2, 2, 4. It has the black color to it. Okay. It has 4 linking electrons. 4 arms. You can see it has 4 arms. It's the purple one in the image. Boom. 3, 4. This is CH4. Right? 1 carbon, CH, hydrogen, 4 hydrogens. So this is called CH4. What is CH4's just normal name? Does anyone know in chat? In the chat. What is it called? Do we know? Well, let's take a look. Here, I got it over here. Oh, I got to move my mouse again. I got to keep moving my mouse. Here, let's do this. So I have CH4. What is this? What is this molecule? Name. Okay. CH4 is methane. Oh, there it is, Dr. Woodbury. Woohoo! I had to look it up. I didn't know it. Thanks for being along. So the founder, the architect, the scientist, chat, is here in the room with us today. We are so excited. We are so excited to be here with you all. Right? On Kick, we got people. On YouTube, there's some folks. Thank you. On TikTok, we've got fans. I love it. Right? So, we got blue and green. Look what we can link together. So those are atoms, chat. So let me go back. Let me change this back to just the normal readers that we started with earlier. There we go. All right. Yes. Thank you. Right now, so we have our digital readers and we have our digital student text. And one of the things that we are actively adding is annotations. Audio for each one of the chapters. We've had several families reach out, several teachers request that we the science books. And we can totally do that. Let me see. You might be able to change. So this audio is really going to enable these learners to not have to, if imagine that your reading ability is such that, it takes you a little bit longer to read through the words or to recognize how to put the different, words together and this, and sound them out. Well, what if it was all available? Like, what if you could just say, play this audio, and then your learner can sit there and play the audio. That is going to be super powerful for families. And this digital textbooks are all available in our RS4K membership. So if you're a homeschooler and you have an RS4K membership, we are bringing these two to the people. So let me share some of our science books. Let me send that over so we can do that. Perfect. Thank you for being here, chat. Appreciate it. Welcome in. Welcome in. We got Mama Paige, Donovan, Johnny. It's nice to see everybody here today. It is Wednesday. My name is Dan G. I'm the Educational Outreach Director. I'm with Real Science for Kids. We start with atoms and molecules. This is a water molecule. It's not a particle too small to be seen. And that matters. Words matter. How you define the various topics matters for your learner. It does. If you fail to define the natural world for them, they will just replace what the truth would be had it been taught to them. Like if you told them it was an atom too small to be seen, is not a particle too small. It's just called an atom. Now then, the user, hey, thank you for being here, chat. Atoms first, and atoms first learning pedagogy. This is what we do at RS4K. This molecule I have right here is a methane molecule. It's a carbon with 4 hydrogens called CH4. Okay. This here is a water molecule, which could be, hey, welcome in. We got Virginia, Lisa, Janessa. Appreciate everybody stopping by. Together, we can re-educate these kids and teach them real science. We can. It's possible. And Real Science for Kids is doing this every day. We wake up every day and we ask the question, how can we best serve your student, best serve your learner, best serve your child to bring them science that, one, is not just accessible, but meaningful and accurate and authentic. That's what we bring. That's what Real Science for Kids does, is we bring an authentic, real science. There it is. And there we go. Perfect. Oh, there it is. So you can see this is what it looks like for the student learner when you have our digital membership, or for the schools. Like we have a school in Pennsylvania that I'm working with. It's a private school, and they have now digital access to all of the student textbooks. For all of the RS4K memberships for homeschoolers, you are also going to get a portal for your learner that see, that looks like this. Welcome in, chat. Welcome in, chat. And this is one of the things that we focus on when we teach real science, is the accessibility. How do we make the books accessible for the kids so that they can have wins, so that they can be confident, they can learn about the natural world. We can say we can teach them the truth about atoms and molecules. We don't have to just say it's particles too small to be seen. We don't have to just say, science is this waste of time for 4 years. Like, welcome in, Lee. We don't have to just sit back and hope that our kids are going to be one of the 10 or 12% who make it through this gauntlet, that make it through this educational gauntlet just to get to freshman chemistry in college. Right, chat? I mean, think about it. If you start with this 1800 science, right, and that's where your public school starts today, chat. And And I could keep going on about that, but let's talk about what it is your goals are. What are your goals for your kids when it comes to science? Do you have goals that are specific and articulable? What goals do you want for your kids? Liking science is um if all you're doing is teaching random facts about macroscopic properties of matter, which just requires memorization and more memorization, everything that they said that they were going to get rid of becomes the thing that they are so focused on teaching. So that chat, that is one of the things that we do different. We bring an atoms first learning pedagogy to science. We start with atoms. It's an atoms first. Here is a look at the early literacy reader dashboard. So we get to see this is what the students get an opportunity. Now they get the chance to go through and look at all of these. Yeah, let me move my camera over here a little bit, chat. Does that give us a better view? So I'm not just looking away the whole time. There we go. All right. All right, all right. We're having a good time today. We are bringing you atoms first. Hey, how's it going? Welcome in, welcome in. See there in the corner? Those are the Real Science for Kids science books. So we can move it there a little bit. Boom. So my name is Dan G. I'm the Educational Outreach Director. We are here this afternoon. It is nearing 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And I got a new chair that reclines. So I'm super excited about that. And you might say, what is this huge thing? And this is to block the sound. This is to block the sound. So when I talk on my live streams, you can't hear the swamp cooler and the other fans because in New Mexico, that's what we use. We use swamp coolers, which basically, like if you're on the East Coast and anywhere that's humid, it wouldn't make any sense to do this. But out here in the dry climates, in the dry heat, what you're able to do is have this box, and you have 3 sides that have these mesh screens, almost like cardboard mesh type of screen. And then you run water over the top of them, and you pull air through it. But let me mute. I got to take this call really fast. Hang on. I gotta mute my live. Hang on. Mute. All right, welcome back. We're here, we're back. All right. All right, chat. So tell me some things that, what are some of your goals when it comes to science education for your kids or for your students? What do you want them to learn? Is there anything specific that you can articulate that you would like them to be able to understand? Um, So let's see here, chat. All right. So you can see here that we do start with an Adams first learning pedagogy. I'm going to, this is page 36. Let me see here. Let me go full screen. This is chapter 4, book 1. And we can talk about student pages and teacher pages and all the things. But just hang on, chat. Look at this. We are going to share with you the how Real Science for Kids teaches science. So image 7, there we go. Perfect. I'm Dan G. I'm Educational Outreach Director, Real Science for Kids. Hey, thanks for being everybody there. Thanks for being there. I appreciate that. Welcome in, Antonio. Hey, Ghost. All right. Let's go over here. So, chat. What are some of the goals? One goal that could be a goal is for your kid to learn atoms first. Is to learn atoms and molecules and chemical reactions. Hang on, chat.
and in chemistry. Whereas particle, really, physicists use the term particle even for atom, but really it's subatomic particles that you want to use the term particle for. That's my preference. I'm sure somebody could argue with me about that, but I think it's better to introduce the word atom at a much younger age and use the accurate vocabulary for chemistry, which is atom. Atom is not harder to say or comprehend than particle. It's actually more accurate to call it an atom. But that said, it is challenging. It's what I've been doing for 30 years, is trying to get this vocabulary and the concepts connecting in a way that younger students can learn the foundational building blocks without, getting confused in high school and college. So where possible, we want to make sure the vocabulary is accurate, and always we want to try to make sure that we're explaining the science correctly to the best of our ability. So yes, typically nitrogen forms 3 bonds, hydrogen forms 1 bond, and that is an accurate statement.
I love it. So you heard it here first, folks. We want accurate vocabulary. We wanna focus on being as precise in our terminology and vocabulary as possible. And this is exactly what Real Science for Kids. This is exactly what we're doing, and this is what we've been doing.
Yeah, and add that. Listen, we love to hear from our customers. We love to hear, there's every edition we have, there's a typo. It just seems like it's impossible to get rid of some of the typos. We do a revision and then there's new typos, and I'm like, oh my god. This is true of publishers, but we're more than welcome for you guys to write in and say, hey, we saw this error, or if you write in and say, hey, we don't like the way you phrased this. We recently had this conversation with a customer who didn't like the way we were phrasing the definition for force. And, those are good questions to ask us. Sometimes we are wrong. We're not perfect. Or maybe not wrong, that's a strong word. Maybe we could say it better. Oftentimes we're saying it the way we're saying it for a specific reason, which we're happy to explain. But, just so customers know, this is what I spend most of my day doing, is thinking about, well, is that the best way to language this or that aspect of science? Is there a better way? How do I language it for a first grader versus a fifth grader versus an eighth grader? Okay.
Absolutely. I think that's great. Chat, I think that was a great, thank you, Dr. Woodbury, for calling in. And
yeah, I'm going to call in when you get the science. Whoa. Don't say that.
When I'm struggling with the real science, that's when you're calling in.
I think you have to be, I think it's really impressive, but because you're learning the basic building blocks. And I think that's an important story. So even as adults, this is why I wrote the map we never got. It's for the adult audience. The more we know about something, the more interesting it becomes. And I am excited for you to get up here on live and try to explain the science. I'll correct you when I think I really need to. But for the most part, what I like is hearing your enthusiasm about the science you're learning, like the chlorophyll molecule. You should explain the chlorophyll molecule, because that was like a super aha moment for you. And I think that's really incredible, because it doesn't matter how old we are. We can always learn something new, and something that we may not have been interested in before, like science. I think there's a lot of adults whose interest in science was absolutely killed by education, right? But even if you're older, you're not in school anymore, science, learning things from the atomic map is really interesting. And the more you learn, the more interesting it becomes. And so, no, I'm excited for you, Dan, as my sales guy, and the interest you have in real science now. And you're back in school you're taking a class, in philosophy of science, right?
Oh, that's just a, I'm not a fan of it. I mean, I am taking a class in it right now, and you
Well, there's
know,
yeah, there's philosophy of science in my books too. So
oh, okay. But I mean, I'm not discounting it 100%, but I mean, the it's been, I'm not getting any feedback, you know.
well, it's a college class, and I have a whole. I could go off on how college professors don't really help students learn and love the subjects that they teach. And I've been focusing most of my energy on the elementary, mid school. I'm back. I have my high school books back on sort of on a front burner. I want to maybe go back and finish those. But I do think there's a whole conversation we can have about how college professors, independent of the subject that you're learning, have a tendency to kill the passion in the students. And it's not all professors. I've had some amazing professors. But when I hear a student going, yeah, I was really excited about taking this class and I'm no longer excited about it. That has a lot to do with how it's being presented and a lot to do with how the professor is approaching the class and the feedback they're giving. I mean, there's a whole art to teaching really well, and I have a lot of respect for you know any teacher at any grade level who has crafted and honed that art because it really makes a huge difference. And unfortunately, most college professors don't care about the teaching. I used to be in it, so I know. Some do. There's a few that do,
Well,
but by
my
and large,
science instructor, my history of science class, it was that 300 level history of science class.
yeah,
That
you like
guy
that one.
was awesome. Was super responsive. They gave great feedback. We got to learn a bunch of topics, and then we got to study all the various, topics, and from the different lenses, and all the various paradigms and all the things in science. And then this class, it's like, if you can't see it, it doesn't exist. And I'm like, it's not real. And I'm like, well, hang on a second. Like, you pointed out the fact that gravity, you can't see gravity. And so,
It's very real.
but it is very real. Like, if you jump out of an airplane, or you jump off that bridge, or a building, and you don't have a parachute, the
You're gonna smash into
inevitability
reality.
will happen. The reality will occur. It is actually real. Just because you cannot see it
Well,
doesn't
I,
mean
I
it's fake.
yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting that your classmates are like, well, how do you know an electron is real if you can't see it? And the truth is I think some of these philosophical discussions about what we know and how we know it can be interesting, but you have to be willing to go, to be able to look at the other side and be able to go into it, the deep weeds of let's define reality then, and let's define how we know it's real. Because if you don't think an electron is real because you can't see it, there's so many things we can't see, like
Yep.
their opinions.
Yeah.
How do you know they're even real? So I do think that some of those conversations can be fun, but only if the other person isn't you know like dogmatically attached to their point of view. You always have to keep a little bit like I'm willing to have a conversation about an electrons whether or not they're real. But really what we're having a conversation about is what's the definition of reality? Because I mean, electrons obviously we can see their effects. We use their effects every day. We're using the effects right now as we talk, as I use this phone and the energy that's being, transferred, from, you know, electrons to the machinery in the phone, picking up my voice, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, we can certainly observe them, maybe not directly in that sense, but we can certainly observe them. We can even observe them directly. But anyway, the point is that if you want to have a philosophical discussion about reality, I'm game for that. But it just ends up being discouraging, as you've experienced, Dan, when the other side is like, no, you're just wrong. They're not real.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't have any way to go. I don't have anywhere to move here. So
Well, and
okay.
that makes me feel like it's just indoctrination. It's not anything but, right? It's just that here's my belief system. This is what we believe, and this is what I'm going to scribe for you to learn, and that's it. And other than that, right, I made the comments. I said, okay, well, it would be really helpful if you could identify which paradigms you're making your scientific statements from, right? Because there's
Well,
multiple various types of paradigms. Like we have the pre-oxygen paradigm, which is, everybody in phlogiston back in the 1600s who thought, who didn't even know that oxygen was its own thing, right?
right.
And so is it a pre-oxygen paradigm? Is it a pre-atomic paradigm? So even though atoms were brought about or thought of in the beginning of the 1800s, they didn't catch on for like 50 years. Right?
Well, they were introduced way back then, way back before by Democritus. But true. The idea that the atoms didn't really become a complete scientific theory until you know 1800s, so to speak. Yeah.
But nothing since 1926. There's been no new discoveries in the atomic paradigm. Like there's no new model of an atom. 1926 was the last time they did. That was 100 years ago, Dr. B.
Well, yeah. I mean, then you can move on to the quantum map, and you can talk about atoms from a completely different paradigm. But the whole idea is, I mean, there's a difference between science and the philosophy of science. Science is, you make you observe something, or you think about something, you do some experiments, you repeat your experiments, you go, to a conference and you chat with your friends. Hey, this is what I got. They go, hey, this is what I got. You go back to your lab, you repeat your experiments again, you draw a conclusion based off of the data that you're observing, that you've collected. Hey, this is the conclusion I think I can make out of it. And boom, you write a paper and you share that with friends. And then you've got other people who's like, oh, no, I don't think you're right. I mean, it's a whole process. But there's a specific, it's not just opinion. It's not just philosophical thought. These are the experiments. These are the results of my experiments. These are the conclusions I drew from the results of my experiments. My experiments are repeatable, they falsifiable, and so on. Philosophy of science is not, I mean, it's a philosophy. It's like, you can get a lot of deeply attached opinions in there, and it's like, well, how do we know what we know? And how do we know? And philosophy of science is really, well, what are the various philosophies that undergird what we think we know about the physical world? Universalism, reductionism, materialism, objectivism, and so on. Constructivism, even. So you've got a lot of isms in there. And I always say, if you're going to have a philosophical discussion, own your isms. Just own your biases, because we all have them. And I have them. I am not I'm a scientist, so I am an objectivist. I will admit it. But I also can incorporate, constructivism. I'm not really an anti-realist, I don't think. I'd have to think about that one, but I don't think I have any. I'm not an anti-realist. I would say I was a realist and an objectivist. And those are my biases, to be sure. Anyway, but anyway, we don't want to go into those. I just wanted to pipe in and say, yes, I'm excited that you're excited about learning and doing more science and learning about science. And that enthusiasm, I think, shows through.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, but I will get off the phone so you can continue chatting and sharing what you know. I'll call in if I hear anything amiss.
Yeah, well, I was actually going to take a break. We're down to one.
Okay.
We're down to you and maybe some other folks who haven't chimed in, who are just out there on the For You page.
Okay.
Almost said that wrong. But it's been going good. I've got 2 viewers on the Kick and the and YouTube, and we got the 1 on TikTok. So I think chat, we're gonna take a break. We've been at this for an hour and a half now. We've got it working. I think that was the best. Let's celebrate that. Woo!
Yeah.
You know, we got it all set up. So I'll call you back, but yeah, let's cancel. Let's be done with this live for right now, chat. Thank you for being here. Thank you everybody on the other platforms as well. And together we can re-educate these the population, these kids with an Adams first learning style, learning pedagogy, learning methodology, all the things. RS4K. It is sufficient. It will get you and your kids ready for science, ready for chemistry, ready for biology, all the things. So thank you all, and we'll see you the next time. Take care.